Hello there, it's me, Unstable Voltage. Welcome back to the second episode of Farthest Frontier. I said in the previous video that I wanted to cover how farms work in this game because I think that the farms are actually one of the sort of more interesting elements that does set this game apart from things like Settlers and Banished. So that's one of the things that I want to demonstrate. A couple of other things that I was thinking about between episodes that I wanted to point out is, first of all, there is an option for tutorials to be enabled, and I do have that set to on. However, I don't think I've ever seen anything that I would consider a tutorial. Sure, we get these notifications in the upper left-hand corner that say that we need to build certain things, but I certainly haven't had what I would call a tutorial. Now, there is an in-game guide that you can access from the main menu. Maybe it's just because that I'm not playing on a standard difficulty map and I'm playing on pacifist mode that it's not populating the tutorial, but it just seems a little bit weird. So be prepared for a reasonably steep learning curve here. I've also noticed that by going into the options and actually having a look at the controls, there's a huge number of controls here that aren't listed anywhere else. One thing that I find particularly useful here is E. There's an explore flag, which is something I wasn't aware of, and it looks like that explore flag can be used to send someone, well, off exploring. So we can hit E and confirm placement with left click, and I assume that means somebody will go off there and have a look for it. So let's get our farms constructed. I said I wanted to build the farms down here south of the houses, because if we hit the F key, we can see that the fertility down here is very high. And we can also see, if we hit I for irrigation, that there's a reasonable amount of water. It's mostly over to this side, but there is a decent amount there. Let's just click on harvest and all of this should be getting harvested anyway. I do want all of this stuff to get harvested. I am going to prioritize some of this stuff because I would like to get it out of the way. Not that it matters too much, because obviously if we say we want to build farms there, it should get prioritized anyway. So I'm going to put 2 farms down, and I'm going to start with the game pause because they do take a little bit of time to put down. They also take a long time to build, so it might be worth getting them done early. Let's start with one over this side near the well. Now, there is a minimum size for them. Now, you'll also notice that I think is 5x5 the smallest? I think it's 5x5 is the smallest you're allowed to have. Was it 5x4? Maybe 5x4. Nope, it is 5x5. The bigger the farm, the more workers it will require, but obviously the more yields it will give you. And you'll notice that we can see the fertility here, we can see the labour cost to create the farm, and you'll also see we've got this soil mixture, clay, sand, and that's important later on. Let's make both of these farms 8x8, and I'll leave a 1 tile gap in between should be sufficient. So let's do 2 8x8 farms. And I'm just trying to do a lot of this with it paused because it does tend to make things a little bit easier. I'm going to build a road straight through the middle. I'm not going to worry too much about connecting it up at the other end for now. But I think I will go... what would be the easiest way to do this? Yeah, let's go right around the outside. The road does tend to bend around certain things if they get in the way, but we'll go right around the outside here, connect up to that road. We will go along this one also. So we'll find some of the trees and things will get in the way, but that's fine. Doesn't matter if we go a little bit wide, because we can do things like getting around the well there. So one of the things that we really do want to have around the farm is a fence, because crops will get eaten by critters. So let's go for walls and roads. We're going to just build a normal wooden fence. We don't need anything elaborate. And I've found that if you put it right up against the farm, it doesn't usually work. I think there's a little bit of an issue with builders pathing to it. Obstructed by a road, that's fine. Doesn't matter that it's obstructed by a road. So what we're going to do is, yeah, we're going to go on the outside of the road down to here. We're going to go from here across here. Now, where the road obstructs it, that's fine. So we're going to go all the way over to there. This is probably a little bit larger than it needs to be, but we'll try and get everything in place. Doesn't help too much that the well is there. Yeah, not great. But let's do that. We'll go across here. Yes, the road, the thing is in the way. That's fine. And yeah, I'm going to do it this way. This looks ugly. I appreciate that. But I think it will be fine. And where's the other half of the road? It was there. So we'll go across to there. Doesn't quite meet up. Let me just go and cancel this. So I can do that with X, which is manage. I can select multiple. I should be able to. So I want all of those bits. Come on, let me pick them up. And we want to remove these ones. Should be able to select several at once. But they're not quite in the place that I want them to be. Just trying to get them lined up. Easier to do it now than after it's been built. It is worth noting that if you build something, you can actually move it later. And if it's a building that has resources in it, like a storeroom, moving it will retain its content. So that's not too bad. So there we go. Now I can go back to building fence. And we'll track that along here. Now the other option that we've got here is for the gate. So we can put the gates in anywhere where we are crossing over a road. So going across this way, we're going down here. There is a road crossing there. We go on the other side of the road on that one. The fence comes down to here. I think that's the fence. Yep, should be. I might have missed one, but I'm going to unpause now and let that play on. So it does take a little bit of time to build the farms, but we should get them done reasonably quick. So our villager happiness is good right now. Everyone seems to be happy. We've got a reasonable amount of resources, but we could always do with some more. There's a random bucket of water just there on the ground. We could certainly do with more wood. Let's go ahead and mark up some of these trees. And thickets and bushes and things. Just so we can make some... Oh, a villager succumbed to illness. That's unfortunate. So we're going to need to build a cemetery now. And we will go and build that over beyond the compost heap away from the road. So we don't need a massive plot. And again, much like the farm, it just takes work time. So these spaces will need clearing. I'm going to go up to speed 3. And if I have missed any gaps in the fence, I will get them as I go around. But that's one thing that, again, the game doesn't really tell you any of this because the tutorial at the minute seems to be lacking. But one of the things it doesn't tell you about on the farm itself is that there's the potential for your crops to be eaten by critters. At least not until they start getting eaten by critters, and then it tells you about that. So that area that I tagged to explore, you'll notice it has been explored. So we can just go and click another couple of places and uncover more of the map. That'll be really, really good. Oh, bring out your dead. Dead villagers left out to rot will attract vermin and disease. Designate an area to be used as graveyards to bury the dead and keep the villagers happy and healthy. Well, that was the plan. We probably need... I don't need to prioritise it because it's actually already being built. So that's fine. So we do have a dead deceased villager here. That villager will get moved. We're also not quite at the housing cap. So we've got 36 housing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 houses. Let's put a 10th one in. Desirability doesn't really matter too much at this point. So we'll just put another house there. There's 4 villagers per house. And the good thing is, because they're chopping the wood down here, they're actually using that directly for the fence, I think. But they're all busy working on the road. So the road is nearly done. A new villager has been born. 3 more villagers have emigrated. What was I building there? Is that the compost yard? The compost yard hasn't even been built yet, but it will be. It will get there. So the cemetery or the graveyard is almost finished. Yep, the graveyard is finished. Compost heap is about to be done. And we're still working on the farms. Builders will be toiling away there doing that. Again, I think there's some more of these thickets we can clear to make some space. The hunters should be doing good. If we look at the hunters' huts, the hunter cabin... Yeah, see, the hunter cabin is actually storing pelts. Now, pelts will be useful later on because we can use pelts for making clothes. Storing tallow as well. The Fletcher is making arrows, which is good because our hunters will need those. How are the foragers doing? Plenty of greens, plenty of berries. Got to remember, though, greens and berries, they don't last an awful long time. And we've got food. We're already losing food to spoilage over here in the root cellar. Now, we can build barrels, but not yet, because we don't have the tech to do that. So there's the compost heap. Now, this is divided into 3 different piles. You'll fill up 1 pile at a time, and it won't start composting until 1 pile is full. You'll also find that the person who's running this is a night soil collector. Sorry, Greener. I think you've got the shittest job right there. But it is what it is. So these guys are clearing up the farm. A little bit of a mess because of the direction that I went in with that road. I don't know why it tracked around there, but that's fine. The fence is getting built now. I think I'd like to get rid of these trees if possible, just because it'll make it a little bit easier to see what's going on down here. So we'll click on that. We can rotate as well, by the way. I know it's not something that I usually bother doing, but if you hold the middle mouse button, you can rotate around. Impending Blizzard. Now, impending blizzards are not good, as you may have guessed. But that's fine. We're still running at speed 3. We'll let everybody carry on. Decent amount of logs, decent amount of firewood. All of our resources so far are good. Now, we'll also want to build a market. There's a few things that we want to build. We want to build a market, but we are waiting for the storehouse. We don't have the storehouse yet. So we've got a stockyard, but we don't have the storehouse. We'll go ahead and we'll put the storehouse over here. Once we've built the storehouse, we'll be able to build the market. So it looks like the farms are done, but we can't do anything. Well, no, construction's been halted because it's winter. So we can't do anything there. So we do have one person. We've got one little solitary headstone there in the corner, look. So we do have our first person in the graveyard. So everything sort of winds down a little bit in winter. Of course, winter can be a good time to send people out chopping wood and stuff like that. Unfortunately, a lot of the places that we've got to chop are very distant, so that doesn't help an awful lot. But let's go and harvest. We'll just do trees at the moment, and we'll just do like a complete swath like that. Be careful, because sometimes it can get rid of the hunting grounds if you get rid of all the trees. So I think what I'll do is I might just pick a few here and just tell them to leave them alone. It shouldn't make too much difference, but we'll just leave a few around here. So let's have a quick look at our villager management. So we've got 12 labourers, we've got 4 builders, we've got 6 farmers. So it looks like we might be 1 short, but that's fine. They can't do anything right now. Yeah, everyone's assigned. And we are in late winter. Extreme cold temp, light breeze. Still running on speed 3. I wonder, I doubt it, but I wonder if the weather affects how quickly food spoils. All we have at the minute is smoked meat, and we have a lot of it. We don't really have anything else in here right now. Anything in the storerooms? No, not in terms of food. Looks like I can hear some wolves. It shouldn't be a problem, though, because that is actually turned off. We shouldn't get attacked by wild animals. You notice the night soil collector does actually have a barrow. We are able to build barrows or carts, actually carts later on, that can be used for villagers to move things around faster. Just can't do it yet. But we'll be able to when we get to the next tier. So the storehouse is actually built, which means we can now move on and get the market. So that will allow us to start selling some of our excess goods and get ourselves some gold. So we need to find a decent place for this. And we can put it over here next to the smokehouses. It's on the road. Again, the area needs to be cleared. Now, there is a clay deposit here. If we need to mine that later, we can always move a building out of the way. Don't ever worry too much about placing a building and thinking that it's permanent. You can move them quite easily. So I'll put down another couple of houses. So if you do ever need to move a building, all you do is you select the building, and then you've got a button here to relocate building location, and then you just click where you want it to go and the workers come along and move it. It's quite straightforward. Now, it doesn't look like this number goes down very quick, but it does. It gets there. So this fence goes all the way around there, and there's a gate. There's a gate there. There's a gate there. There's a gate. There's a gate. Everywhere's a gate. Yep, just wanted to make sure that it's one continuous loop with gates to all the entrances. Now, the gates don't really delay the villagers. They remain open, but they do stop. So fence gates allow friendly forces to enter and exit the village freely, but closes to keep out enemies. So it'll keep critters off the farm. At least it should do. So this farm is almost complete. We are still in winter. Hopefully they'll get this done by the end of the video. This is the fastest speed that they can work at. So we have uncovered a few more areas here. We've got some eggs. We've got some nuts. Hazelnut bush. This might be a very good place for another forager's hut, to be honest. Let's go and put in a... Where are we? Got to find it now. Not on resources, it's food production. And we want the foresting shack. Because it'd be nice if we can get, like, eggs and things. That's, like, right on the edge of what we can get. But getting the nuts and berries and stuff would be nice. Let's go and put the foresting shack down here. And we'll build a road down to it once it's built. Now, later on, we'll have the option under housing of building a temporary shelter. So a temporary shelter isn't really... an upgrade to a house. It's basically just a cabin in the woods. So if you've got people working quite remotely, you can use that for them to live in temporarily. So this farm is now finished. Crops are ready for assignment. So this is where things get interesting. So the way the game works is every farm works on a 3-year crop rotation. So each of these represents a year. This is the current year, that's next year, and that's the year after. Once we finish a year, it goes back down to the bottom of the list, and they go around in a cycle. Buttons on the left allow us to clear the selected crops and also to expand the field. Over here, we can increase or decrease the number of workers assigned. There is a limit to the max workers, and that is based on the size of the farm. You'll also see the farm's fertility, weed level, and rockiness. So here, the fertility is good. The weed level is awful, because obviously the fertility is good and there's a lot of water. And it's not all that rocky. Now, you'll also see that our soil mixture is around about perfect. It's kind of in the green. Sometimes it's slightly off, and you can either add sand or add clay to bring it back round to where you want to. Now, you can plant crops and work your farms any time of the year apart from in late winter. Currently, we are in early summer, so you can just about see this line down here on the first crop rotation. So this is where we are now. This is the current timeline. So we've already missed part of the first year. So we'll click to add some crops, and this is the list of crops that we can grow. And you've got a lot of consideration about what you can use. Now, it's worth bearing in mind there are certain things that you can grow at the beginning of the game, but you can't use straight away. For example, wheat. We can grow grain, but we don't have a bakery yet. We can't get that until tier 2. So at the moment, we can't actually make any bread, though it can be well worth getting. Unfortunately, wheat doesn't have good weed suppression. We need stuff with weed suppression. Also, leafy greens, things like cabbages, won't last in storage as long as things like peas and beans. So peas are actually very good. They don't give you a good crop yield, but they're very tolerant to frost. They grow reasonably quickly. They don't have much of an impact on fertility, and they don't care too much about fertility. Beans don't have a very good frost tolerance, but beans have a better heat tolerance. So you can think about whether you have a cold, whether it's cold or whether it's hot. on your particular part of the map. You've also got an option down here to just set farmers to perform maintenance, and that will reduce weed levels and remove rocks. So we could start off by doing that. So let's put one of those in for a start. It's going to miss out this year anyway because he's already done. We could get some corn. Now corn's quite nice because it gives you a good crop yield. It's tolerant to frost, it's tolerant to heat, it's tolerant to rockiness. It doesn't care too much about the weeds. Now, it does have a negative impact on fertility. So planting lots of corn is going to wreck the soil, but you can recover that. So let's put some corn in. There isn't really much space for us to put anything else in on that year, so we'll go to year 2. So we've just grown some corn. Now, you don't have to do all this straight away. You can wait until that other crop is done. But we could get something like buckwheat. Buckwheat is also really good. It doesn't like the frost too much, but if you're planting it early in the year, it will be fine. It does have a bit of a negative impact on fertility again. But then we can, after that, we can go and plant some clover, which will have a positive impact on fertility. And then there might even be space to fit some peas in. Not quite enough space to get anything else in there. And then we can go to year 3, and then we can maybe get in some wheat, and then possibly get something in like some carrots. And you can always change these around at any time, but that's how that rotation will work. So we'll unpause. And if we keep our eye on this field, you can see that this first one was actually missed. So we didn't do this because it's too late in the year. We've gone past that. So now we're actually going on to the step of planting the corn. Meanwhile, we're also working on this other farm here. So it's all good. So yeah, I do quite like how that works. We've also got some eggs over here. I'd actually quite like to explore here and see what there is, because we can probably get a forager's hut here. They're clearing this down here to make room for this forager's hut. We've got, what have we got down here? Hazelnut bush. Hazelnut bush is here as well. So whenever you see these yields with green arrows on them, the more arrows they have, the higher the yields. So, you know, 3 green arrows is the top one. You can hide these with F4. Yeah, so if you hit F4, it'll cycle between giving you a monetary number, turning them off, or just giving you the icons, so you can just cycle between those. Just trying to think which one F2 toggles on and off now. F3 toggles on nameplates. So we're waiting for the other farm to finish. So mostly done now. The market's also done as well. So this technically will allow us to upgrade the town centre, but we do need 40 wooden planks, which we don't have at the moment. We're getting there though. Some are being made. We do have wooding storage, so that is fine. Once we get up to 2... Oh, here we go. The crops are actually starting to grow already. So we can keep our eye on these crops. We're only part way through growing. But you can see that our soil mix is already starting to move out of what is ideal. So what we could do is add a little more sand to move it that way. But we don't have the ability to harvest sand yet. Or maybe I have some in storage. So we can add a little bit more sand and get right there in the middle. So let's do that. Do we start with some? I think maybe we started with some somewhere. Or we can buy it from the market as well. So we'll talk about the market in another video, because there's a lot more things to do here. But it's mostly about just getting monthly income from selling overstock. 5 new villagers and 2 new villagers born. We're going to have to get some more housing in. I hope our food production keeps up with this. So let's go and pop in a couple more houses. This farm is nearly done. Now more villagers are good because it will give us more farmers. We are still on speed 3. Did we manage to build that other hut down there yet? I can't even see it. There it is. Now it's partially being built. It'll be a long way to build a road all the way down there, but I'm crazy enough to do it. So over maximum size. Well, how rude. And then this one is under maximum size. Is that linking it up? Yeah. So we'll build a road through there. So did we get that yield? It's about done. So now winter's, well, we're still in autumn, but winter will be coming along. That crop rotation will finish. Now we'll move on to the second year, and year one will drop down to the bottom. But we can constantly assess the quality of the soil. So we can see that the fertility is going down. We can see that the weed level is a little bit weird. Weed level going down means it's getting worse, which means we're getting more weeds. Rockiness going up means there's fewer rocks. So it's just trying to work that all out. But we do want to get rid of the weeds. Yeah, weeds impact on yield, minus 280. So we planted 1,240, harvested 698. That's not brilliant. But we'll just wait for the next crop to cycle around. So yeah, it wasn't the best of yields. We got only sort of half of what we planted. Now, a good thing is you don't actually need to have seeds and things like you do on some of these other colony sims where you actually have to have the seeds to plant things in the first place. Could probably do with another forager's hut over here. We've got nuts down on this side. Just trying to have a look around and see if there's any other good spots for harvesting from. Lots more greens over here. We certainly shouldn't have any problems with food. Now we've got crops ready for assignment because we've got a second farm. So again, the fertility's good, the wheat levels. Now we're already done with year one. So let's just look at year two. So the weed level's high and the fertility's decent. So we could plant some corn. That will drop the fertility level. Then we could put in some... Will we have room? Yeah, we'll be able to fit in the clover to get the fertility level back up. Then we could do some maintenance on... Oh, no, year three. Do some maintenance on there. We can have some flax, which will slightly... What's got good weed suppression? Yeah, the corn's got good weed suppression. We can get some cabbage. Can't do anything else on that year. So then we can go back to year one, which will be next. Most things have a pretty negative impact on fertility. It's only really the clover that leeks have a really bad impact on fertility, but they don't care if the fertility is bad, so we do that, and then we can't even follow it up with corn, but we can get some yeah, we can get some clover in afterwards. So there we go. So now those are assigned. It's not going to do anything on this year because we've already missed the opportunity. So we're now up to 50 of 56 villagers. We've got enough. Have we not got enough wood yet? Yes, we can. We can upgrade this. So we're going to upgrade the town centre. And that will cost us some planks and some stone. So the labourers will bring that over. Now, there is an option up here in the top right-hand corner to put automatic building upgrades on. Certain other building types can get upgraded if you meet certain requirements. So there's usually a prerequisite to having a certain building and then having a certain amount of resources. So you can have auto upgrade enabled. Normally is by default. I don't think it applies to the actual town centre. You have to do that one manually. So we'll just wait for those planks to get here. There we go. And now we're just waiting on labour. We've got 9 months worth of food stored up. And that's pretty decent for having a population of 50. I'm just going to put this down to speed 1 for now. Actually, let's leave it at speed 3 until it completes. Then we'll put it down to speed 1. So there we go. So now we have the tier 2 town centre. Tier 3 focuses... you see, as you go up through each tier, the buildings look more and more modern. So unlike a game like Banished, and don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Banished. It's a fantastic game when you consider that it was pretty much made by a single person. It is absolutely brilliant, and it's gorgeous. But your settlement never gets out of the everything's made of logs stage. It never sort of grows beyond that. Whereas in Farthest Frontier, you start off with this little settlement where everything's just made out of, you know, ramshackle wooden buildings that are thrown together. But then as you start to upgrade, everything becomes far more refined, and at a later point in the game you actually end up with, you know, things made out of brick, and you almost end up with a proper bricked walled city with castles. It heads in that sort of direction, which is something that I like. Also, absolutely kudos to them for this snow effect. I know it's paused right now, but this snow effect does look absolutely amazing. It is a gorgeous game, especially when you zoom right in and look at everything closely. It really, really does look fantastic. So I'm just going to go and pause up there. You'll notice now we have more options available to us. Some things are still locked, so we need the wagon shop. Wagon shop can be found in storage, and I really don't want to forget to build a wagon shop because wagons are just brilliant. That's the root cellar, that's the vault, that's the wagon shop. There we go. The wagon shop we can put down over here, so we haven't got enough planks for it at the moment, but that will supply our villagers with wagons, and that'll speed their movement up along the roads. There's various other things that we have access to now that are in tier 2. So we've got a healer's house, trading post, we've got schools, we've got pubs, we've got rat catchers. See, here's the thing that's a little bit weird. If you want a pub, you need beer. Now, we unlock the pub at tier 2. But if you want beer, you need a brewery, which I don't think you unlock until tier 3. So it's a little bit weird. We've also unlocked some other resource collection buildings. So we've got clay pit. Well, we've still got the prerequisite here. We need the wagon shop, but clay pits, iron mines, gold mines, coal mines. We've got candle shops. So we're already getting tallow from the hunters. We're already stocking that up. Potters buildings, apiaries, charcoal kilns, armories, soap shop. So yeah, lots of stuff. Again, defenses we're not really bothering with because we're not playing with hostilities on, but there's a lot of useful stuff that we can look at in another video. But hopefully this video has gone a way to show you how the farms work here, and if you are interested in seeing more, please do let me know. I'm quite happy to make more videos of this game because I am really enjoying it, and I would like to go through and show you how more of the stuff works and some of those tier 2 buildings. So please, if you'd like to see more, do leave your comments below. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.